Greetings, Indie Warriors. Welcome to I Dream of Indie. My name's Ole Gamer Joe, and today we are reviewing Omno on the Steam PC platform. This is a puzzle platforming adventure game. The first thing you're going to notice about Omno is that it is drop dead gorgeous. I was playing the game on my laptop even, and it ran beautifully, but more on graphics and performance later. What exactly is Omno all about? Well, to be 100% honest with you, I'm not exactly sure I could tell you. This is one of those games that kind of leaves it up to the player as to what's occurring. There's a few notes here or there sprinkled across this gorgeous world, but for the most part, it's really just about the journey. In fact, this game reminds me a lot of that title, Journey, if you've ever played that indie classic. You play as this very bizarre, strange creature that's just sort of freely roaming about these worlds, traveling from one destination to the next on another massive creature of sorts. I swear, parts of Omno felt like I was on that flying dragon in the never-ending story. Boy, it made me feel like a kid again. The main goal of each world in Omno is to light up a pillar that's, generally speaking, in the center of that world with 3 different lights that are scattered across that world. In order to light that pillar up, you of course have to try to collect those lights, and that can involve solving a very simple puzzle, or as the game progresses, more challenging puzzles, or it can simply involve some platforming skills that have you jumping your way up, throwing a few switches here or there, and figuring things out to get to the light that way. Once you have all 3, most worlds end in a big puzzle of sorts. These end world puzzles, as I like to call them, are generally pretty logical and simple enough to solve, but honestly there were a few that tripped me up and felt a little bit obscure and frustrating. You could pretty easily rush through each world, collect all 3 lights, and then move on to the next world, but you would be missing out on more or less the other half of this game, which is about that exploration and discovering different creatures. You will run into a lot of creatures, actually, and you can collect a log of all of them. I believe there were 41 in total in the game for you to try to find. It is, again, optional, but it will add up maybe an hour or so to your gameplay, which this is a pretty short game, running in at about 4 to 5 hours on an average playthrough. Your character will also gain a few different abilities as you progress. My personal favorite was the snowboard, or board in general in this game, hoverboard, call it what you will, but it helped me to glide across snow and sand and other things like that, and it was a joy to use. I would say the puzzles range from, again, frustrating to pretty well designed. I liked solving a lot of these. They made me feel a lot smarter than I actually am, so yeah, I could crack the majority of them. I will admit 1 or 2 frustrated me, mainly involving having to use my memory, which is terrible, but in a few instances it was really just Omno being a little bit too mysterious for its own good. I get what they're going for here, that whole journey vibe, and you don't really want to know why you're here, you're just on this journey to enjoy it. It's kind of been done at this point though. Still, games take from other games all the time. Everything is inspired from something after all, and there's no denying this is a beautiful journey to partake in. I loved exploring these worlds. Surfing about them was phenomenal because each area in the game isn't particularly large. You won't really get lost or anything, but if you do happen to lose your way, you can hold down a button to simply see where your main goal is, and it will also tell you the percentage of the map you have completed, which I thought was nice. Overall, if you're in it for purely the gameplay and really don't care about the emotional narrative experience that the developer is trying to evoke here, Omno might come up a little bit short for you. The puzzles are merely decent, the platforming is so-so with a dash that is actually a little bit wonky and feels a bit off, but overall you're not into this one for the gameplay necessarily. Even though it's solid, it's really the visual presentation of this one that I'm going to remember the most. Going to each new world in Omno was so exciting, not only because I got to fly on a cool new creature in order to get there, but because I knew it would look beautiful, and it would look different from the last in a lot of ways. Snowy landscapes are just stunning to explore, grassy areas, even clouds. There's some really cool set pieces in this game, and it all runs beautifully. On that Nitro 7 laptop, which is not a powerhouse or anything, I was easily able to achieve 1080p 60 frames per second. No hitches or anything like that, so not only is it a gorgeous game, it's pretty easy for anyone to be able to run this one. Of course, a game with such a beautiful and mysterious look needs a great soundtrack to back it up, and thankfully Omno does not fail to deliver there. There are some really stirring, emotional, orchestrated compositions on this soundtrack. It's phenomenal throughout. Each piece really does tug at the heartstrings and does make you feel like you are on your own quest, and it's not really about the character that you're playing as so much as it is about you experiencing each of the game's different worlds. Omno is a gorgeous game that is full of mystery, but at the same time, I just couldn't help but feel like other games have done this, and maybe because of that, a little bit of the emotional impact was lost on me, but still, the breathtaking visuals and stunning soundtrack almost make up for the so-so gameplay. Not that it's an offensively bad playing game, but I do feel like some of the puzzles are better than others. A lot of them were a little bit on the frustrating side, and then a lot of them would be just a little bit too on the simplistic side. I would say after about the fourth or fifth world that I entered, I started to feel a little bit of deja vu, but it was the breathtaking style of this game that kept me pushing forward, not so much the gameplay. Thank you so much for watching the latest video from I Dream of Indie. We'd now like to take a moment to thank our great indie warriors who support us through channel memberships. Mitchell Hall, Kevilo Bunny, Bill Tikaz, Christian Cruz, Strict9, Chris Jackson, Nathan Moore, Peach, Adriana Amato, CJR, Falco, Lombardi, Seacoil, Skeptism, Jen Rose, Jesse, and Julian Kolbus. Thank you for all you do for independent developers, publishers, and for I Dream of Indie. Everybody else, please head down to the description box below. Let's defeat the echo chamber and bring a voice back to the voiceless ones in gaming.